with what is recursion, right? So recursion means calling a function or method by itself is called as an recursion. So before going to that, what is a function or a method? So method is nothing but set of statements with a name to refer it. So how do you declare any method? Method, see, first of all, return type space method name and then argument list opening bracket and then closing bracket. So this is how what you can do, you can declare any method. For example, I would like to display hello for 100 times. So what I am doing, suppose repeatedly I need this sort of a repetition task, then I am going to create one method. The return type is nothing but void and then this name is display hello. Always remember that our method should follow camel case, right? So camel case, first word starting letter will be small letter, remaining all words starting letters will be capital letter. So this is a void display hello, where I am going to display hello for 10 times. If you want to print hello for 10 times, what you need to do, you need to write down code for int I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. Now display any message system dot out dot println hello, right? So this is the code that you have to use for displaying hello for 10 times, right? Is that clear? Any doubts, any questions? This is a type of function where you don't pass any arguments, as well as then you are not expecting any output from this method, right? Similarly, we can also have a one more method which is of the type functions with arguments and then no return values. If you want to have that sort of the method, then let us take one more example to add. Let us pass two numbers and then add those two numbers and then display sum in that. So void sum of int a comma int b, right? And then here I am passing two values as an argument, and then what I am going to do, I am going to simply say system dot out dot println a plus b. So this is how I am going to display. For this method, what is this type of the method? This is of type arguments but no return values. We are passing two arguments but we are not expecting any return value. So that is your second type. We are also having one more type which is nothing but I would like to return the sum of those two values. So how do I do that? Sum of those two numbers, int sum of int a comma int b. What will happen in this case? I am going to return a plus b. What it is going to do? It is going to, this sum function is going to take two arguments and then it is calculating the sum and then returning the value. Two integer values, after summation it will result in a integer value itself. So the resultant value. So how many variations we have seen? This is functions with no arguments and then no return values, and then this is functions with argument but no return values, and this is functions with arguments as well as a return type. So these are the three different functions that we have, functions or methods that we are having. So if any function has three important factors to be considered. Number one is nothing but function declaration. Second one is function definition. Third one is in function call, right? So any method which is calling a function is called as an calling function, right? So what is it? So calling function. And then second one is an called function. So what is this calling function? A calling function is a method where we use we write function call or method call. Function call or method call. Called function is nothing but this is the function which will execute when you call any function or method, right? So these are certain basic things. So there will be always two different parts. There will be one calling function and then there will be one called function. Suppose if both the calling function as well as an called function, if both are same names, then that function is called as an recursion. So calling a method by itself is called as recursion. Is that clear? Any doubts, any questions till now? You can post it if you are having any doubts, any questions. I will wait for 2 minutes. If you are having any doubts, any questions, you can post it. Any doubts? Okay, I am getting no questions, so I just wanted to proceed. So the type is one more different types of the function is nothing but static method, and then second one is a non-static method. Let us find out the difference between static method as well as a non-static method. So any class can have two different types of the methods. Any class can have two different types of methods. One is static method, other one is a non-static method. So a method which is preceded by keyword, a method which is preceded by a keyword called as static is called as static method. Okay, so even your main method is also a static method. Main method is also a static method. So what is the advantage of the static method? The static method is having the advantage, if you are declaring any method as a static method, then you, in order to call the static method, you need not to create any object for that class. Otherwise, if you want to access the method, definitely what you need to do, you need to have an access, you need to create an object for that class in order to access the method. And one more important factor with respect to the static method is, a static method can be called by using class name directly. Second one is a static method can call only another static method. A static method, if you are having static method it can only call another static method. Okay, we have seen certain things. Let us try to put all the things together and in one example. So in order to see that example, let us see CLS and then notepad method x.java, right? So this is my code. In order to execute this code, class space method x opening bracket closing bracket. Now this method x is having one method called as a main method. So how to declare a main method? Public static void main. So that means this method is of type which method? Obviously it is a static method. So without creating object for method x, you can call the method main. So string AR. So what is this string AR? String AR is nothing but this is the argument that we are using, right? So why do we use this argument? Let us discuss that later. For the time being, you remember this. As per the syntax that we already discussed, any method, it is having the syntax just like method. What is the syntax? Return type space method name and then argument list. And then what is the return type of this method? Return type of this method is nothing but void. And then arguments, what we are passing? We are passing the argument a string array. String array. You already learned what is this array in our previous program. Now this main method is of type static because it is preceded by using the keyword static, right? So if you want to call this main method, you need not to create any object. Directly you can call using the class name. So that is the one more thing. So let us try to add one more method, void display hello. So public void display hello. So this is the method what we would like to write down, and then here I just wanted to display system dot out dot println hello. So how do I display that? Using the system dot out dot println method I can call. So how many methods are there in this method ex? So method ex is having two methods. One is a main method, other one is an hello method. What are the significant differences between this main method and then display hello method? Main method is of type static method, whereas an display hello method is a non-static method. I already told you, if you want a static method can access only another static method. So let us try to access this display hello. How do I write down the function call? Method name. So display hello. So once you type and then save, let us try to compile this code. If you want to compile, Java C space method x.java. Now what it has shown, the error is nothing but display hello is a non-static method. If you want to access any non-static method, definitely what you need to do, you need to create a non-static method requires an object. Non-static method requires an object to access that, right? So if you want to access that, then what is the change that I need to do? I need to create an object for method x. How do I create an object for method x? Let us see the syntax. Class name, object name equal to new class name of. So this is the syntax to create an object, where this class name is nothing but the constructor of the class. So now let us create a method object for the method x. How do we create an object for the method x? Method x ob1 equal to new method x, right? So and then constructor. So this is the same syntax that we use as we mentioned earlier, right? So now we could able to successfully create an object ob1 and then now this display hello can be called using object name. What is object name? ob1 dot display hello. Now this is not going to give you any error. Let us try to compile this code. See, now we are not getting any error. So this is one way how we can make use of method call from the non-static method from the static method, right? So this is one way. What is the another way that you can do is simply I am going to keep this one as an, I don't want to create any object, I just wanted to make it as an comments, and then I am not going to use any ob1. Now what else I can do? Simply change this to static method. Now your display hello method is also become a static method. So how do you call this method? So simply display hello. Let us try to call this method javac method x. So now also you didn't get any error. Is it clear? So now we are ready, and then we know how to create a method as well as in how to call the method. Let us execute and see whether we are getting that output or not. Method x. Now you can see that we have that output hello, right? Similarly, now if you want to, where do we write down this function call, method call in main method? So main method will become as in calling function. Main method is a calling function or calling method, and then display hello is nothing but your called method. Here we are having two different things, right? So calling method is different as well as in called method is different. So recursion will say that both calling method as well as in called method both are same, then you call that one as an recursion. So how do you write down that? Let us see one of the example for the recursion. Before going to that, let me tell you one of the example what you can do, right? So for example, if we are asked to calculate the sum of first five numbers, how do you do that? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, right? So what does it mean? This is nothing but sum of first four numbers plus 5, isn't it? Similarly, what is sum of 4? Sum of 4 is nothing but sum of first three numbers plus 4. So what is sum of 3? Sum of first two numbers plus 3. What is sum of first two numbers? Sum of first one number plus 2. So what is this sum of 1? Sum of 1 is nothing but since it has reached 1, now we will return this one. So now once you return this one, then what will happen? 1 will be added to this 2, 2 will be added to this 3, 3 will be added to this 4, 4 will be added to this 5. Hence we are going to get the value which is nothing but our sum of first 5 natural numbers. Similarly, if you want to calculate the factorial of any given number, factorial of the given number, so what you will do? So 1 star, 1 star, 2 star, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5. So how do you do this? How do you do this? Simply this is nothing but 5 star factorial of 4. What is this factorial of the 4? Which is nothing but 4 star factorial of 3. What is this factorial of 3? Which is nothing but 3 star factorial of 2. What is this factorial of 2? 2 star factorial of 1. So what is this factorial 1? Factorial 1 is nothing but here what you need to do, you need to return 1 here. So in order to do that, so you need to repeat this. in recursion, always remember one thing, the termination condition is a very, very essential in recursion. So that is a very, very important. So before we move to implement this recursion, first of all, let us see the advantage. So advantage of the factor, example of using this recursion is nothing but the number of code steps will be less, and expressing an expression by itself will give more beauty in programming. So if you are able to express any content in the same name, in the same expression, then that will be more legible or more impressive coding, right? But the problem with this is the advantage, less number of steps, but the disadvantage is when it compared to iteration statements, it occupies more memory in the it occupies more memory in the RAM. So how does it occupies more memory in the RAM? Because whenever we are creating a method call in the stack space, there will be one activation record that you will be having. So first, which method will get executed? Main method is there, right? And then main method is calling. For example, I am using the iteration statement like display hello. It is calling display hello. Once this display hello is executed, then it will return back to this main method and then execute the rest of our statements, right? So this will be there in iterative kind of the statement. But whereas in suppose let us see what is a recursion. For example, I am using the factor, I am calling the factorial, which is a recursion. So main, and then in this I am calling fact of 6, otherwise fact of 5. This fact of 5, what it is going to do? Again it is calling fact of 4. Again it is going to call fact of 3. Again it is calling fact of 2. Again it is calling fact of 1. So likewise, it is returning from the fact of the 1. Once this is completed, then it will return back to fact of 2 calculation, then here, then here, then here, then here. So it is going to occupy more memory when you compare with the normal iterative statements. Though it seems to be very beautiful in writing or using the recursion, but recursion will occupy more space. Now let us try to implement and then find out the factorial of the given number using the recursion in both the ways, right? So let us try to write down. So how do we write down? Let us use the static method itself. So void, let us add it, static void. Now factorial should return some integer, so int fact of some number int n, right? Here factorial is returning not void, right? So it is an integer. Static, the return type is an integer, function name is factorial, and then return type is argument is nothing but n. So always you remember that any recursion requires a termination condition. So when shall we stop calculating the factorial? If the number is less than or equal to 1, what I need to do? I need to return 1. Else what I have to do? I need to calculate the factorial as return n star fact of n minus 1. How do I obtain this? I already shown you how I could able to calculate the factorial. So factorial of 5 is represented as n 5 into factorial of 4. So similarly I am going to call. So this is again calling the same factorial method. Where do you have the function call? Function call is residing inside the same method name. So that is why it is said to be as an recursion. Is it clear for everyone? So now we have completed this factorial calculation. Now how do we call this method? Simply I am going to put it in the null quotes as a comments, and then let me call this method void, sorry, I have to call factorial system dot out dot println. Now I need to return fact of let me say 5. File save. Let me compile this code and then execute. So in order to compile, Java C method X, and then now Java method. See, we got that output 120, right? So which is nothing but the factorial of this particular value. Is it clear? So we can also make we can also create the similar kind of the method, a non-static method. How we can do that? Simply I am going to copy and then paste, and then I am just removing this static, and then enter factorial. Here also I am changing that to factorial. So this is a non-static recursion kind of a thing. So for accessing a non-static method from the static method, what you need to do? You need to create an object. So I have created an object. I have created an object, as well as an I just wanted to call that method, which is a factorial. So how do I call? Simply system dot out dot println now ob1 dot factorial of, let me say, 6. Right here the factorial method is a non-static method. Since it is a non-static method, we cannot call the non-static method from the static method without creating an object. So here we have created an object for the method X, and then hence we could able to access this factorial. So that is how we have done. File save, and then let us compile this code. Java C system spelling mistake. File save, Java C, and then Java method X. See, we got two different types of the methods, right? So that is how we can write down. Even you can also write down without recursion as well as with recursion. That will be your program number 2. That's all from the presentation.